This next part is brought by the virtual REI Academy, kind of the same idea as passive cash flow for life, but a little bit different. The Academy has about 48 or 50 classes now on all sorts of different subjects that deal specifically with single family. So all sorts of different strategies, how to run a business, how to set it up, that kind of thing, how to get subject twos, how to do tax liens, all sorts of different stuff like that. And Jane and Sharon are actually the leads on that. They've got an incredible background in single family, have done many, I never know what number to use, deals across, I think it's either 10 or maybe it's 12 states now. And they are actually putting on a webinar in about a month and a half on, well, I'll let them talk about it. I'm pretty excited. I saw all the different details on it just a couple of days ago, so it's going to be awesome. So Jane and Sharon, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you,
James.
Appreciate it. Can we share screen?
Yes.
Oh, yes, we can.
Yep. So for everybody that does not know us, it's Jane and Sharon. We're here in Sarasota, Florida, and partners with James and Nicole, and we've been doing this for about a year and some change. Super excited that everybody's here, and we try to do different free topics all the time, just just short. They started out to be 15 minutes, but I think we've kind of got 20, 30, 35 minutes. But if you check out Virtual REI Academy, we have a lot of classes on there. And Emma, I saw in your comments that you were looking for tax liens. We did do a teaching Tuesday, and I'll find you the date, but we had guests.
Sorry.
We had Joanne Musa as a guest on here, and she's known as the tax lien lady. So I think she knows a thing or two. So you can, I'll get you that date and you can maybe look at that and see how that goes. But we have about 50
Sounds good, thank you.
We have about 50 courses on the website, and this is brought to you by that. Also YouTube. So all the Teaching Tuesdays will be up on YouTube. And tonight, Sharon's going to do most of it. But, we're just talking about creating value and getting the most bang for your buck out of, different rehabs or houses, or how you can spice them up a little bit without spending a lot of money, but it's going to bring you the most value. So little short presentation on that, and then we'll do some questions.
Oh, and James was talking about our online presentation that we're doing. It's going to be on investing from afar, virtual real estate investing.
And yeah, that's really where we've gotten pretty good at remote investing. So we kind of put together either 2 or 4 hours, probably going to be a 4-hour class because there's a lot to talk about. But let this be a small fee, cup of coffee, and throughout the week, and you can pay for it. But just a background in how you remote invest, especially like you see the way properties are in your area. If they're like skyrocketing and you're just priced out of that market, how you can get into other markets and do it safely without risk and be successful in it. So look for that for about a month. We're getting that together.
And without further ado,
Sharon's up.
We'll talk about how to get the most bang for your buck. And if you do have to do high ticket items, make sure you're in the right place. So, it's not all of these are low cost, but the ones that are a little higher cost are the ones that are important, that'll really give you the most bang for your buck on the rehabs with your rentals and your houses that you want to sell. You want to start with the outside, because once that potential renter or buyer drives up to the property, you really want that curb appeal. You want to, that welcoming, warm, welcoming, nice, clean house. You want to at the very least, power wash it and make it nice. And you might even want to think about painting the house and paint it in a neutral yet bright color. White makes it really stand out and makes it look clean and fresh and new. And paint the door a bright color that stands out. There, we know some investors that have their favorite paint color. One of them will paint the door a certain shade of blue. Another one we know that paints it this orangey color, and they do it for all their houses. So you can kind of drive around the area and pick out which house that rehabber or that investor has. And landscaping is very important. That you really want the house to look good and nice. And course, skipped over roof. You want to make sure you have the integrity of the house taken care of. Roofs, replace the windows, fix or repair the roof, replace it is more ideal. But if it just has a little areas you need can patch, you could maybe get away with that, especially with a rental.
And this is almost how you look at a house when, as an investor, when we drive around, like the first thing we look at is the landscaping. So if that's a mess, you're like, maybe this house is in disrepair. And then you kind of look at the roof, and if it's like, shingles hanging or whatever, and then, the way the house looks, if it's, pops right away because of the paint, or it's dirty, or it's, just looking kind of disheveled. And then the door for us, like, we've kind of learned that with, we don't have like $800,000 houses when we flip them. So we're in the, affordable housing realm, and that door can always make it pop. And like, we've tried to, script sometimes and just wash the door. But if you just go ahead and paint it, it really pops. And, that's one of the things. And we'll probably get some advice from Ernie here and Dan if he's on a little bit. But they're just some of the things that investors look for, that they're like, oh, this might be a bargain. I might be able to get this house for a bargain. So just those things will get you more bang for your buck.
And not only the roofs, but the gutters and flashings too, because you want the water to stay away from your house and not collect in your house to have, well, we don't have to worry about that, but flooded basements or other parts of the house to be flooded. And more on the landscaping, it is important, and it really does increase the value. A well-maintained manicured lawn with the trimmed trees, tidy and fresh mulch with the garden. You want to provide lighting at each door for that added sense of security for the people that are going to live in that house. And you might want to consider solar lights around the garden and walkways. And repair the fencing and the cracked walls around the property and make sure that's all nice and buttoned up. And some things that you don't want to do with landscaping, especially up north, or the weather gets cold in the winter and warmer in the summer. Down here, it's a little different in Florida, but you really want to skip out on those water features. You don't want like ponds or hot tubs or anything that causes any extra maintenance, because that homeowner might not want that maintenance and that trouble. And the same thing with pools, especially up north. Sometimes pools take away from the value. They do not add value to the house. People don't want to have to deal with all that all the time, especially, like I said, up north with the warmer months. You're only talking maybe 3.5 months top that you're actually going to be able to utilize that pool. And you want to have really nice greenery and trees and shrubs, but make sure you stay away from the high maintenance things, the things that need a lot of extra care and attention to grow, such as fruit trees. You need to go out there and clean up the fruit trees in the area and all. And if you're not going to maintain that, like an example, stay on top of fruit trees. If you're not going to maintain that property, all the fruit's going to lay on the ground and rot. And then that's going to bring critters and stuff to your house. So then you're going to have another problem. So you do want to be cognizant of that. And you don't want too many crazy garden and lawn decorations. It's not always a good idea, especially like the quirky and the personalized ones. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Example, ask Jane about the gnomes.
Yeah, don't have gnomes. Gnomes are no good, at least for us. Superstitious, but yeah. Tree fell on the house after the gnome came. But anyway.
And here's a few before and after pictures so you can see how it really pops. The first one, the top is the before picture, and then the bottom is the after picture, how lightened up that color of the paint and have all the white trim and all. It just makes it look nicer. And then the landscaping looks nicer around there and the greenery added. And then the second picture, same way. It's kind of like that red bricky color. It, turn it into that nice steel bluish gray color, and that different colored door there to make it pop. And then you can see up top it looks like dirt. Kind of like dirt, lawn and grass up there. And then on the bottom, the nice, beautiful plush landscaping that's freshly done, and it looks really good. It's not overdone. And the garage, oh, I was looking at my statistics. I was looking up statistics, houses with garage sell 10 to 12% higher than ones without. I was looking up the current statistics and that really stood out to me. I didn't realize it was that big of a deal. And, higher end houses, 10 or 12% is thousands of dollars. And just make sure that you repair and paint the house, fix up the doors, paint them to make them pop. Create a more modern looking living space for the garage and add some extra functional storage space or like a mini mini gym that enhances the garage and make sure it's nice and clean and well maintained. It looks more modern. It really makes a difference. As you can see, the top picture kind of messy and cluttered. And then the bottom picture, they have, it's the floor is cleaned, it's all nice and cleaned up, and then they have that space for the extra storage there. So it makes a big difference.
Now that's probably what it'll look like after the people move in is that first one, but you want to have it looking good when they buy it.
And then, the inside. You want to paint the whole inside of the house the same neutral color. And as we know, we've been, as we do real estate for several years, you realize that these popular neutral colors change over time. When we first started, it was like the grayscales. And what do we have? What was that?
Well, beige.
What was that beige? I mean, I'm sorry.
Gobi beige.
It was the beiges and the browns, and we had like our color then was Gobi beige. And then it went over to like the gray scale.
Agreeable gray?
And we used agreeable gray. And now talking about California, and the trends come from California. We have friends that are in California. We find out the trends there, and then we know it's going to come this way. And it seems to be the palette now is like the antique whites and the off-white coloration for the inside of the house. And then, it looks smart with the white ceiling and the white trim throughout that really makes it pop. Although in Gary, some of our houses, we have the black trim, like some of the white cutouts and the black trim, and that looks pretty nice too. But for the most part, you just want it completely neutral, and and then the homeowner or the renter can come in there and change it if they want. And if the floors are old or worn, you want to replace them. And the easiest thing that we use is that luxury vinyl waterproof floor. That seems to be the smartest choice. Or sometimes if it's the hardwood floor looks really good, we might opt to restore that because everybody loves real hardwood. It looks really nice. And then a lot of people, elderly people or people up in the northern states, they like carpeting in the bedrooms and maybe the luxury vinyl throughout the rest of the house. So, you don't, a lot of people will try to clean the carpets, but it's just easier to fresh, new, nice carpet to start out with.
I think it adds value with not much cost.
And then you want to upgrade to energy efficiency. That makes a big difference too. And it makes a difference with the bills in the long run. Like the smart thermostats, like you can put a smart thermostat in for less than $1,000. Make sure the windows are double pane. There are good ways to accomplish this, and caulk the cracks and seal the ductwork around, make sure it's all weatherproof. And, if you are opening walls or, look at a couple of areas to see if the insulation might need to be replaced. And the Energy Star appliances, tankless water heaters and LED lighting, just, little things that you can do to really make a big difference for that. And, overall for the whole house. And the biggest ticket items that you want to spend on the house is kitchens and bathrooms, because they're the things that really sell. You want to upgrade to the modern sinks and faucets, modernize the appliances, replace the old appliances with new, more energy efficient models. I wouldn't suggest buying the highest model with all the bells and whistles, but some nice, decent middle of the road package. And, stainless steel, everybody seems to still like the stainless steel or that gray coloration. And make sure that you buy a matching set that, all the appliances match. It looks better that way. Just buy them all the same and refinish or paint or replace the kitchen cabinets. you might consider like the shaker style cabinets. I don't think they ever go old or outdated. And, a lot of times people like the white cabinets and the dark, countertops. And that's very neutral. You want to still, maintain the neutral. That way they can decorate it with any colors, any schemes work for them. And, middle to higher end granite, not the thin flimsy stuff. Or the quartz countertops, they're really nice. And one time we were flipping a condo and it just didn't pop that much. It just, there's something that was missing. So we decided to add a backsplash. It didn't cost that much extra for the backsplash, and it really made a big difference. It really popped and looked a lot better with that backsplash on it. So, you might want to check out the prices of things like that. It's not mandatory, you could paint back there and it'll look nice, but it just stands out better. And then, you're cooking in it and grease splashes up and all, and it just keeps the kitchen cleaner for people. And lighting, improve lighting by adding some under the counter lighting, pendant lights, as well as like recessed lighting in the kitchen and dining room area. And like I say, in the backsplash, like the subway tiles, mosaic patterns, bold, colorful tiles against like the neutral area might make a difference and make a big impact. And you want to maximize storage areas because everybody needs extra storage in the kitchen with maybe a pantry, a pull-out drawers, organized cabinets. Everybody likes that ample storage. And I know it might be a little extra expensive if the kitchen's a little bigger and you do that open concept. Consider adding an island for extra counter space. Everybody needs that counter space. And if funding allows, it's, extra storage, extra prep work, and it adds to the functionality and the appeal for the kitchen. And with the bathrooms, the same thing, upgrade the faucets, shower heads, and other fixtures, so more modern look. A lot of times we'll use chrome or brushed nickel or that matte black that really, gives a nice touch. And we usually replace the vanity, especially with the outdated vanities, because they don't cost that much. And that's an easy, fix to really make it look clean and nice in the bathroom. And, especially when the toilets are old, you want to think about changing out the toilet, especially for that, what's that energy efficient toilets for the water doesn't use as much water.
And you usually get a rebate.
That's true too.
And I think with the condo, we did that same thing with the vanity, and something just looked off, and we didn't, I guess because you see it so often and so many times, but we should have replaced the vanity, and it was like a short vanity for like a short person. So then eventually the light bulb went off, so we had to replace the vanity.
Exactly. Yes. And the lighting, and they want the lights around the vanity and the mirrors and the overhead lighting and dimmer switches, and for just to add to extra lighting in the bathrooms, the same as the kitchen. And the tiling in the bathroom and at the tub or the shower, that just makes it look nice and makes it pop. And upgrade and replace the shower or the bathtub. And if you have really small bathroom, those frameless glass shower enclosures, we've used them for smaller bathrooms because they really make the bathroom feel and look more spacious than it is. So just the trick that we've learned through the years. And mirrors, large mirrors or mirrored medicine cabinets also give it a larger and brighter appearance. Bathroom just pop a little more. And you might want to have like built-in shelves or cabinets or above the toilet storage unit type of things for extra space. And make sure that the bathroom is properly ventilated, and you want to inspect the ventilation and maybe add to a higher quality exhaust. You don't want that mold and mildew buildup in that area. Do you have anything else to add to that? No. And then other ideas. This is funny because this is just talks exactly about what Nicole was saying. A lot of times, if you have extra rooms or bathrooms or extra rooms that you can add bedrooms to, or somebody created one bedroom for two bedrooms. You want to go back to more bedroom count, because that also increases the value of the house. And that additional space is really needed a lot, because we have noticed that like kids get out of college and they're trying to get on with their career, and they move back home for a while to get themselves started, or elderly adult moves home with her family, so, or his or her family, the senior citizen, to have that extra help. And also, the extra functional rooms for, and you can always change it back to a home office or family room, guest suite. And then the decks and patio, just expand the outdoor living space for entertainment. And that's always nice, so that you have more room outside and inside to sit around and with, families and gathering. Yeah. And then we just wanted to see what other ideas that other people had on here, and what upgrades did other people do that actually added value to the house, and maybe some simple, easy, and inexpensive idea, or, something that added a little bit extra money, but you got a lot of return on your investment. That was quick today.
Well, I know, right? We know some people on here have a lot of experience in this and might have an idea or two. Oh, look at that yellow door.
Yellow door. For me, this is Dan. I'm here.
Hey,
Hi,
Dan.
I'm on kid duty. For me, it's all about the perceived value, right? It's what does the buyer think that they're going to get? It doesn't have to be the most expensive. It doesn't have to be, it's not the cheapest, but it's all about the value that they feel like they're going to get, right? When you look at a yellow front door or a blue front door, it looks a hell of a lot better than a black one, right? It brightens. It's like the smile when you walk in the house, right?
Right.
But you don't always have to spend the most amount of money. Like if you go to a tile store, the subway tile is going to be like a 3x6 subway tile is going to cost you a heck of a lot more than if you go down to Lowe's. When you put it on the wall, it looks exactly the same. So you just got to find your stuff, pick the things that you think you're going to give them the most perceived value, and go with that.
Absolutely. And that's true. Even like changing out the fixtures don't cost that much, and it just adds that value and
That's the
richness.
pop. Yep.
Oh yeah, you can get that stuff. I mean, I got a faucet I put in my kids' bathroom. It's $18.
Yeah, and it looks great.
It looks perfectly fine. Black
Everybody
faucet.
wants that clean new look, right?
Yeah. It's just give them the perceived value, and they'll buy your house over somebody else's house. That pop.
Thank you, Daniel.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Things they've done, things they've seen?
So I'll chime in, but hopefully I don't have too much background because I'm also on the baby duty. So yeah, as far as like this particular house that's in this one, it used to be white and it had a red door, and that was kind of atypical. But when we looked around like this particular neighborhood, every house was white or like a light gray or like a light green, and then nothing stood out. And so we, opted to go with kind of like an iron ore house color. And this one actually, I think we'll throw on like a couple of wood shutters in the front. So it's something very inexpensive. And then we'll get into like in the inside, we now get into where we just do like straight alabaster white. We do that on all of our ceilings and walls. We do it in flat, so that way the painters can go in and just, spray everything, right? And then all of our trim, we go in and do also in alabaster, but we do in semi-gloss. And by doing that, we're able to really help the painters not have to tape off and do all the cut-ins and stuff. So their time is a lot less. So it actually gives us a nicer finish and a faster time, so it reduces cost. And then we'll do something on the doors. We'll do kind of like an urbane bronze, kind of a brownish gray. So it kind of plays into a lot of different color palettes for people. And then kind of to your guys' points, you know, we really look at who our end buyer is going to be. So if we're in that $100,000, $150,000 house versus like a, you know, $450,000, $500,000 house, or, you know, $1 million house, then obviously our taste is going to be a little different as far as what we put into
Sure.
those. But for most part, we typically play in that $350,000 house. So, you know, we're using LED lights that are newer, the fans, LED lights, you know, typically with the remotes. You know, versus if we're doing it for a rental, we won't use the remotes for the fans. We always do the pull strings because those remotes always go missing, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, there's been plenty of times where we've like over improved houses, still made money on houses. But to Daniel's point, about, you know, doing that perceived value, and you know, having that perceived value is like this particular house, if it looked like all the rest of the houses, you know, down the street, then there's really nothing that's super exciting about it, right? So now, by us going in there and painting the outside and painting the door, we've now created that extra interest. They can obviously see something else has been done, and so now it's a matter of like now they want to come in and see the inside of the house, you know. So we've getting them to do that. So these, like for instance, like the white fence that's here, those are going to get removed because they're just really in poor locations, and we got some landscaping that's going on in this particular house. But in this house will be, sorry, this house will be 100 and like essentially under 200,000.
Nice.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Sorry, I had my input person behind me.
He probably knows a
He
thing or
wanted
two
to
about.
share.
I'm sure he can. He probably follows you around and knows a thing or two.
And I do
Yeah.
think that's like the outside really becomes, because we've actually seen, you know, people just like, they want to come see the house, but then, you know, or we want to go see a house, and then it's like we drive by and we're like, well, we don't even want to see that because it looks like that. Or, you know, you just have to think of what pops and what, you know, it's not always what you like. Like I hated Gobi beige with a passion. I hate browns. I hate brown floors, brown anything. Like I like the other colors, but you know, at the time that wasn't what I wanted. It was what everybody else wanted. So kind of have to go with that. I was very happy when
Yeah.
agreeable gray came out, and that was the thing, because I like grays, so that worked out well.
Yeah, the agreeable gray, you know, much to the name, I mean, it has a lot more options for colors to go with it. You know, when you start getting into the tans, the taupes, you're really restricted to some color palettes for people. So they start looking at it as like, well, my furniture doesn't really go here, or something just doesn't flow as well. And so you want to kind of just, you know, you want to get rid of all those, you know, essentially get rid of all of the questions about, oh, this doesn't really go well, or, you know, something just doesn't look good, or, you know, you want to handle all those objections up front. So if you can do that with the colors and really still, you know, deliver that fresh look, and, you know, deliver that fresh look and get rid of all the other things that go along with it, it just has that perceived value that, and you really didn't do a whole lot, right? You know?
Yep.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ernie.
Anybody else? Any rehabbers on here that have a trick or two?
Well, this might be more Baltimore specific, but when we were doing flips a long time ago, in the nicer parts of Baltimore, we would always put in an alarm system, right? Just a little extra touch, didn't cost us that much. And it was just, I think, people seem to like that little piece. And we used to do, I don't know if it's popular anymore or not. We used to do coffered ceilings and pot lights, in the living room and the kitchen. And those things just like, it was like flying off the shelves. People walk in, they'd look up and like, oh my God, this is awesome. We get an offer within 2 or 3 days. And it
Wow.
wasn't that expensive to actually do. If your crew knows how to do it, they can slap them up pretty quick. It's not that hard. And maybe it is now, but back then it wasn't. And then 42-inch cabinets really seem to, for the difference in price, yeah, they're a little bit more, but for the difference on the top end price we would get on the house, it really made a difference. So it was a really good ROI on all three of those things.
Nice.
Awesome.
And that's what you want to do. You have to, gauge if I put 10,000 in, what am I going to get back out of it? Because you don't want to put 10,000 in and it's only raised the value 5,000 because then you hypothetically lost money. Here in Florida, we have the like if you can find an old house with the what are they called? The
Terrazzo floor.
terrazzo floors. Like, that's a big selling point down here if you can find them and refinish them and make them, look okay. We just recently, and I can't remember who it was, but we went to look at another rehabber's house and they tore up all the terrazzo floors and they were in good shape.
Oh,
So
my
we're
gosh.
like, why did you do that? But they were from some other state. They didn't know that was like a thing down here. I guess their agent didn't tell them, but so just different things that you can, save. In Baltimore a lot, we were able to save the hardwood floors. So, that kind of worked out with us on one up in Aberdeen and a couple other ones that like, you don't know what's underneath the carpet or whatever, but they were just in such good shape that we were able to save them. And then that made the house pop too.
They're beautiful.
You definitely have to find what the house, has to offer,
Sure.
and then, and really kind of capitalize on that. I'll give you a quick story. So I did, as I was had a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath bungalow, brick exterior. And this is kind of like early, let's say 2005, 6. So this is kind of earlier in my career. And I had, I'm sitting across a closing table from the lady that was ended up buying it. I was like, obviously you like the house, you like the location. I said, what's your plans with this house? Meanwhile, in the back of my mind, like I had this whole entire list of things that I've already did to this property. Redid the kitchen, opened up 2 walls, had this open concept. And this is only like an 800 square foot house, 1 bathroom. 1936 original tile, everything, right? So it was great. So she's like, well, I'm going to go do some renovations. And excuse me, like, what are you talking about? You're going to do some renovations, right? And so she gets in there and I kept in contact with her because I happened to be single at that time and she was kind of cute. So, but anyway, so I stopped by and I brought my dad by there with me. And we stopped by, and sure enough, she had taken out the kitchen cabinets. She sanded them down. She painted them white. She took off the countertops, replaced the countertops, and did all. She probably did another $8,000 or $10,000 worth of work. And I just like my mouth dropped, because really, I mean, it all needed done. And so it just made me start thinking about things a little differently when I'm rehabbing because another one we did a property, and this is a $280,000 house that we end up selling at. We went back to this house 3 months later. We passed by where the house was. You catch that? The house is no longer there.
What happened to it?
The people that ended up buying the house that tore it down after we rehabbed and everything, tore the house down and built a $1.5 million house.
Holy cow.
Now, granted, we still made money. We still walked away with all that stuff, right? But at the end of the day, you don't know who necessarily the end buyer is or what their goal is with it. Mm-hmm. So, yes, you want to add your personality and things into it, but you're not living there. So you want to just kind of, do as much slate as possible because ultimately you want to be able to give that perceived value to Daniel's point and not over improve it, but give it enough to where it's like, hey, I like it. I'm going to come into the front door because I've done the front door and I've landscaped and done some different things that bring them in, and you got to be able to give them the opportunity to see the canvas and do what they want to do with it.
Yeah, make it their own
curb appeal. Yeah,
and we did that early on. We were doing town row homes in Baltimore City, and we were making them the Taj Mahal, obviously, and then they just then they got torn up, and then I got mad. So definitely that was a lesson learned. Don't over improve for what's ultimately going to be a rental, and the same with retail flip. Just make it where they can come in and do what they want to do.
And we do see people doing that all the time. There was actually somebody that asked my opinion. It was a smaller little place that was a modular home, and they wanted to put it on the market, and they gutted everything, put top of the line everything on it, built like a really custom cabinets by hand, and the what is that? Shoot, now I'm having a brain cramp.
Breakfast bar?
in the middle of
The
Uh,
island.
the island. They like built this like custom island and everything on this small modular home. And they're, they might get 100 or 110,000
On a very, very, very good day.
and they're trying to get like 160 and they just over rehabbed it, just like Ernie was saying. And we see that mistake over and over again. People are trying, they think they're going to get a lot more for their house in the neighborhood, that just the comps don't sustain
Yeah.
that.
Now, the saving grace was, when we're in 2020, 21, 22, the markets had gone up so much, right? So it was still in climbing. And then, so if you did over improve, that was kind of the fortunate part and an unfortunate part, because people that did it got saved because of the way the market was going, that overspent. So they're like, whew, we got away from that when we still made money. And then they think they did it really well, and they're going back now and doing it again. And now we're in a different market. And so now you find that those people that thought they were doing it right are realizing now that they're like, ooh, I'm not buying right. I'm not rehabbing right. And for today's markets, and you'll find those are the ones that you're going to start seeing. Like I'm seeing a lot more investors now posting pictures of houses gutted to studs and trying to sell it as is, because they realize they have overspent on buying and they don't have the money, or they don't want to lose it. So they want to go ahead and just take a little bit of a loss, and then hopefully they can sell it off to some other investor as it is. And, I'm seeing more of that happening right now, which is stereotypical of, the markets.
Yes.
Yep, no doubt. No doubt that's even going to come at that's like Nicole's presentation was, I think that's pretty eye-opening on a lot of different things, but even affordable housing, and I'll just step back to that for a minute. We're seeing like, there's a ton of mobile home parks down here with, the senior places, and they have pools and, the amenities or whatever. And we're seeing a lot of people sell their houses up north, or they used to have two houses or whatever. And then they're just, kind of downsizing. And then because, for whatever, 1,200, $1,300, you can buy a smaller place, and then you have all your amenities, and you can still go to the pool and different things, or even renting rooms, seniors that lost a spouse or whatever, renting a room just to make it affordable, because the rents here in Florida have went so nutty that, people just can't afford, if you can find a place for 1,000 or under, I mean, you're doing great things, because the affordability here in Florida has gotten crazy. And I'm sure that's in some other markets too. And then, so seeing where the affordable housing is, and, that's why we do a lot of remote investing. We just picked up a house in Alabama. We picked one up in Ohio, and someplace else that escapes me.
Well, two of Alabama, one in Ohio.
Right. So, and then probably two in Michigan, but it's just like that affordability to, I know that nothing's going to hurt us, and we can go turn around and sell that on owner finance lease option, make it a quick rental. So I think, that's kind of the wave of the future. And I think you don't get hurt as much, if you're out always looking for $600,000-$700,000 houses, that's when you're going to get walloped.
It's funny, there's a huge complex that's near us that they, it was actually a preserve, and they got permits and all, so they cleared the whole preserve, and their goal at the time, they got permits to put these 700,000 to $1 million houses, and what they were going to put 500 of them on there.
That's a ton.
And now they're dividing the land in two, and they're going to the permit office to restructure it. They're going to put the high-end houses on one side, but they have to lower the price of those houses. And then the other side, they're asking for permission and permit restructuring to do affordable housing on the other side. So these people with like $800,000, $900,000 houses, right next door to, in the same property. like a mixed use area. It's,
Because a lot of people don't realize we're not builders, like we've never delved into that, but that takes permits and zoning and commissioner meetings and all this stuff. So it took them so long, and they started all this like, pre-COVID. And then they're like, oh, COVID, you can sell a bologna sandwich for, 100,000. So we should be able to sell these houses, pretty much in 800,000. And I think they built 3 houses, and one's a model, and people bought 2 other ones.
and that's all they have.
And that's all they have in this whole community that's been sitting for a year and a half.
And it was like around 500, and now they're trying to, build more houses with the affordable housing side because it's going to be smaller. So I think they up to 792 houses or some weird number. So
Interesting times.
mhm.
So going back to kind of when I was doing rehabs, which has been a few years ago, one of the things we always tried to do was to do something that was different than the other houses in the neighborhood that would differentiate it, so people would tend to remember. And one of the things we used to do a lot, and I'm just going to share real quickly here. I went back and tried to find. Let me just see if I can share this real quick. If I can get my thing to work.
We
But
knew
we used
you
to
had
ha-
a trick or two.
We had a lot of luck with adding kind of porch kinds of things.
Hmm.
Nice.
And so basically the only thing that's really different here is that one window. And then we added that kind of side porch. If we can add a full porch, we'll put a porch swing, but those things that draw people in. So that's just kind of for whatever it's worth.
I like
Nice.
it.
I like it.
And you changed the color of the door. Make it
And we
pop.
changed the color of we've always changed the color of the door.
Did
But
did
the
you
other
have a
thing-
specific color?
We did a lot in this kind of antique blue with white,
Mhm.
kind of the blue gray with the white. But again, it's been a long time. We're still doing some single family stuff. So if we still have houses, and they don't need a lot, because we're more in the rental market than we are in the buy and retail. And so a lot of it is just, trying to maximize those kinds of things. And so we don't kind of focus too much on color, other than we use white a lot as accents, just because it makes things pop and look
Yep.
clean.
Pops. Yep.
Yes.
So that's kind of all I had to say there, is trying to find something that's different, that differentiates your place from another, that doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
I like that. That's amazing. That does make a big difference.
I always want to do orange doors, but Sharon says
It might
Well,
work.
What is this? Are you, the orange is the new black?
She's always loved orange. It's
I
her favorite
know.
color since ever. Yeah, orange is the new black. Maybe that'll work in some neighborhoods.
She goes with that Florida Gator color. Or a Clemson or something, right?
it's funny. I've liked orange since I don't know, and it's probably more the New York Knicks because I had a basketball in my hand at like age 4, so I'm gonna go with that.
That's funny.
But anybody else have any rehab stories or additions?
You can go on for days on rehab stuff.
Right. Yeah, right.
So
We just-
what do you do for, if you are buying something and you're going to keep it for a rental as opposed to a retail sale? How do you do things different? Particularly Ernie and Daniel. I know, and Jane and Sharon. I'd just be interested in, what do you do with those that's different than a retail sale?
For me, I mean, I've kind of gotten to the part now, kind of like with the painting, for instance, like I'm not going in and painting gray walls, white ceilings, white trim, like I streamlined a lot of the process. So really, whether I'm doing for something like that, whether I'm doing it for a rental or all the way to the retail, even to the higher end, I really use kind of the same paint scheme on the inside. because again, it's the speed of implementation. It's getting things just done faster. It's cutting costs down. It's cutting paint costs down. There's a lot of things that go along with just that one line item, right? And it goes with everybody. So everybody's like, oh, they don't complain. It's like, oh, look at that wall color. I don't really like it. I got to paint it. So now it's like, here's your blank slate, but it's not your stark white. It's not the medical type feeling. Along with that, then I kind of look at like who my person is that I'm either renting it to or selling it to, and then I look at if I'm renting, I need something that's going to withstand some wear and tear. I need things that are going to be still gives the comfort creature comforts to the place, like soft drawer closures, those kind of things. But I want some things that are going to be more durable. So I'll put in a little bit of like the LVP. I might spend a little bit more on that versus doing like a vinyl flooring, right? Vinyl sheet. I know like Daniel will do carpet. I'm still not a big fan of carpet. I mean, I like it being up north and stuff, but it has its values to it for sure. And even down in North Carolina, there it is also. But to me, there's that continued maintenance with that as well. If they end up having animals, then you have the pee smells, you got the animal smells. Vinyl flooring. I mean, it just wear and tears a lot better. So, and then I'm taking care of all the major items, the HVAC and whatever kind of electrical and mechanical and roof, because again, I don't want to have to go back to that place, 6 months later or 8 months later while the tenant's in there. So some things I just kind of look at what the house needs, who my end client is going to be, my end tenants there's going to be, and then I kind of perform either a small cup of coffee, a medium cup of coffee, or the large cup of coffee with it. And that obviously goes within the budgets also.
Thank you.
For me, I like it ready to go. I come from a construction background, and I don't want to touch anything if I don't have to. I look for the rentals as close to, ready as possible. Like Ernie said, sometimes I can't get away from the carpet, but I'm not going to put LVP in a bedroom, in the living room. Most of my clients are Section 8, low income, affordable housing type of stuff. Probably, I would say 19 out of 21. And the only two that aren't are tenants that I've inherited from other owners, which I'd probably prefer to get rid of.
Yeah. and so you're to some of those points that you have. I mean, most of those flooring that's already there are because they're northern houses. They typically are the hardwood floors. So they're
all the hardwood. Now, like that last one that we had, the last one we put a tenant in, the bedroom floors, the hardwoods were fine. They were fine for us, but Section 8 didn't like them.
Really?
So, yeah, so I had to put carpet in there. Now, the living room, they were nasty. They were nasty from the animals, the old owner, etc. Now that we did put the carpet, we put the carpet in first, but then they made us go back and cover up the hardwoods in the bedroom because they had a couple stains. I wasn't going to repaint them. They were perfect. They just had a couple stains here and there. They weren't soft. They weren't moldy. They weren't anything. They were just dark stains in the hardwood, and they didn't like it. So they made us cover it up.
Well, I know it's one thing, Daniel, what you guys do up there that I was always kind of like, is, they'll paint the floors there. So they've gone through. I saw in a bunch of those houses that you guys painting the hardwood floors, and just to kind of skirt the whole thing with the Section 8s and stuff, because now you're hiding the stains. It's all, encapsulated, if you will.
Yeah, we just, instead of the floors are in perfect condition, instead of sanding them and refinishing them and staining them because they're just going to destroy them, we paint them with a really thick semi-gloss paint.
Wow.
And then we just go in and touch up paint them if the tenant turns over. But again, most of us know that like Section 8 tenants, if they've got a whole bunch of crap in the house and actually live in it with kids and everything else, they don't really go anywhere. They're there for a
Right.
couple of years at least, you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
before it turns over. I mean, I've got one house, Osborne. I've never ever been in it. I've never been to it. I've never nothing. The tenant's been there for 13 years.
Wow.
And when I bought it, I didn't know that they hadn't Section 8 hadn't paid the old owner, and he wasn't doing the fixes they requested. So they had a dishwasher in there that was leaking that was on the list. So I said, throw it out, cap the water line. I'm not required to give them a dishwasher. So I threw it out, capped the water line, fixed whatever was leaking, the bottom of the cabinet or whatever, changed the faucet, and then the carpet was so worn out that they made me replace the carpet, which was fine. I mean, it was disgusting. The pictures they sent me, it was worn all the way down to almost the subfloor. Yeah, and the inspectors, they inspected every year. They didn't say nothing until this year. And the guy just neglected to do it because I was under contract buying it.
Wow,
kinda all
they're
have
not
to-
Baltimore inspectors and Gary, Indiana inspectors. Jeez.
They
No,
beat
they're
you
not.
up.
Yeah,
Crazy.
no, I mean, because we have because my team up there has the experience with the Section 8, they pretty much have a list already, right? They
Yeah.
know what they're going to go in, and they know what they're going to, like we usually have to add a GFI by the washer and the dryer. It's usually not there.
Correct.
GFCI outlet, right? There's
That makes sense.
sometimes there's not one behind the stove. Sometimes you need to add one in the kitchen by the sink, stuff, minuscule stuff like that. But I don't go in. I'm not adding porches or moving this. If I'm fixing the deck, I'm either tearing it down. Like there was a garage we had on one, and I just tore it down, and threw it away. I mean, I wasn't going to spend $8,000 to fix it. It was $3,000 just to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do that. But for me, less is more. I'm not.
No, I mean, on that particular property, you do have kind of a value add where you could have taken that garage if it was still good and converted it to an ADU type thing and had an additional rental if that's allowed. Or you could still have the opportunity if you're going to demo it and build something new in place of it, then you have that incurred value add cost. But again, it's depending on the location and what you have to put into something like that, whether it's worth it or not.
Yeah, we have a garage story for another day. I don't feel like telling
So we
it
put
right
it
now.
tore down.
Yeah,
We tore that thing down.
And I guess
Fix it.
for our difference in our rentals and retail, sometimes it comes down to the guys. Like we have a kind of rental guys, and then you have retail guys that you pay them a little bit less, but you don't get the fine
Like painting and stuff.
fine painting details and some of the sharper edges and different things. So a lot of that comes down to that. We might, be similar on some of the things with the supplies and the paints, and just going to be a little lesser with the rent guys.
Yeah, I mean, everything you do, add the porches, do all that stuff, it all adds value to the property. There's nothing wrong with it. But, my plan is, least out of pocket, most rent, which is what most people want. And then they get the back end with the appreciation when they do the additions. The one property I have that we paid 34 just got an offer on it for 60.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's great.
And then we've had it for July, August would have been a year. This coming August would have been a year.
Nice.
Yeah, I
So
think
you
I
got
just sent
some-
Daniel over. I sent Daniel a picture over. I'm like, hey, like I just looked at this house, and it's the house that him and I went and looked at it. They ended up buying, and the realtor that I had, he's sent me it over. They have it up for 98, and I think what'd you pick that one up for originally? Like 50.
That's the one. That's the one I just posted the other day, Jane and Sharon. That picked it up for 52.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yep. That was a nice house.
And
Yeah,
my
like
realtor,
like
my
6 or
realtor
7
called
grand
me.
into it.
Yeah, my realtor called me, basically said that we could sell it for $99,000, and I've
That's
had that
awesome.
house since the last week of
Not
January.
Yeah, I was gonna say not even like 5 months.
Yeah, not even. So it's been like 4 months, and I was like, okay, put it on the market. I mean, I don't need it. I don't have to have it. But so that house, for instance, the when Section 8 came through, that's the one with the floors, the bedroom. We covered up the hardwood floors. Section 8 came through and said that you need to paint the exterior of the house because the paint's chipping. And it's middle of winter, so he gave us till the middle of June. Well, the tenant that was going in there April 1st went and painted the house.
Wow.
And if you
Wow.
remember from the pictures, all the shutters were blue and everything, and then the tenant painted it all black.
Yeah, I like it when a tenant chipped in.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't even tell us. She just did it. She did the little rock garden in front and whatever else she did. She just went and took it over. So, I mean, whatever. She cleaned the yard.
Nice.
She cut all the vines down. She did all that stuff because she wanted to move in there so much faster than what Section 8 was going to allow her to do. So she just did it, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, perceived value, cutting the bushes back, that could help. So,
Exactly.
but yeah, he said we could get like 80 to 90% profit in a few months. I said, all right, put it on the market.
Goodness.
Twist my arm.
Yeah,
You got-
I'm not going to argue with that. But we put 4 or 5 on the market, all in that all in that range. Because he pulled some comps on some of the properties, and I was like, well, if I spent 120 and I'm going to sell it for 200, why would I hold it? It'd take me years to recoup $100,000 on what are the rents in that duplex is $2,000. Right, it would take me 5 years to make $100,000. 4 years, 4 years make $100,000.
Yeah,
So-
but coming from the other side, you're right about
Mhm.
that. But you hold on to those for enough time, and now you're making 200% on your ROI per year just from the rental and what you have on it. And so in the
Oh yeah,
long run,
I agree.
so I used to flip some, but now I buy primarily the multifamilies, but go through all this work to get them in good shape. And why do I want to sell them when I know in the long run they're going to be worth a lot, and they can just send money to my bank, right? And I don't have to do much.
Yes.
That's
Exactly.
exactly what they do. Send it to the bank. No, I completely agree with you. That was not the game plan. I mean, we've bought 17 properties, 21 doors in under a year up there, and there was no game plan to sell any of them. But if you could make 80 to 100% profit, I mean,
Well,
the
if
bird in the
you're gonna-
hand, you know what I mean?
That's true. And then you're going to reinvest it into something that's going to make you more, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I'm not. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
exactly.
just off of that profit alone, I mean, you could go out and buy another 2 properties,
Mhm.
or at least another one, right? You're replacing the one that you're selling with another one plus one more. So
Well, if I sell that duplex for 200, I pay off, the 120. Let's say I make 80,000. I could buy 2 houses for that.
for that, yeah,
Nice.
Yeah,
and plus reinvest the 120.
I still say that I play Monopoly for a living, for real. I buy the houses, but
I want
instead
to be the
of
top hat.
selling the houses, I refinance them and buy my hotel. So I
There
have
you go.
both.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah.
I agree with that.
That's
I
awesome.
have a feeling you own Boardwalk and Park Place.
Well, I'm working up there. I don't have a lot of high end. I am more in the what's that second kind of row. It's not the really the first one.
Ventnor and
Connecticut or something.
yeah, Connecticut.
Yeah. The
Well,
second
at
and
least
the
we're not.
third
At
row.
least you're not down in Baltic.
Yeah, no, I'm not in Baltic anymore. I was to begin with, but they were more headache than they were worth.
Yeah.
Are you adopting?
Yeah, Daniel and I, and we'll be up for adoption.
Got the papers ready.
Okay.
Maybe one day we'll play Monopoly. We'll all get together and play Monopoly.
Or that other one with
Or cash
cash flow. Or...
Cash flow.
Cash flow
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have
Alright.
a card game of Monopoly now.
I
Oh,
saw
wow.
that. I've never played it, but it looks like I love Monopoly. I
And
think
my
that's
son,
where
my older son, he loves Monopoly, and it takes so long because he's 8, and it takes
Yeah.
so long to play a game. So I think
Yeah.
it was Christmas. We bought him that Monopoly card game, and it takes like 20 minutes. It's like you're done.
Ah,
That's awesome.
It's a
I would
quick,
like that.
shorter version. It teaches the same thing, you know.
I have the millionaire version of Monopoly, but I can't get anybody else to play with me. So
That's fun. I love Monopoly, and then you'll play with me.
I'll play with you.
There you
That's all right.
go.
We just play in real
Cool.
life. That's all.
Yeah, I
That's
like to
it.
play with real life. That's more fun.
Yes.
Yes.
Way more
It's also,
fun.
it's also more scary,
That's all
Right.
relative, you know. That's all.
Yeah, I mean that's you've been in long enough that you know what you're looking at, right? And you understand the numbers, you understand how to add value, you understand all those things. So your level of fearfulness out of it is way reduced than where you were, years ago, right? And so
Oh, no, that's absolutely right. When I started out, I was scared of all those big numbers. So the first properties I bought were 6, 8, 15, 20 units. And now I don't want to look at anything under 200. Talk
Yeah.
about getting spoiled.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how it works, right? That's how it works.
That's
Yeah.
right. Charlene, do you have a
has-
question? Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
missed the face-to-face gathering having to do with I guess using a real situation and setting goals for it for the property. So I was wondering, did you all tape that? How
Oh, are you talking about what we did in the multifamily last week with developing a
Yes.
tactical plan?
yes, tactical plan.
So James would know if that got up.
No, we did not record it. That was a live one. And to be honest with you, even if we had recorded it, I don't think
Now, we did
It
a
would-
teaching Tuesday on the tactical plan too.
which one are
Was
you
that
talking
not
about,
recorded?
Charlene?
Pardon me?
Which one so we did one that was live. I thought that's the one you were referring to. And then we
That's
did
the one I missed. That's the one I missed,
Okay.
the live one.
But to Nicole's point, we did an abbreviated one the following Teaching Tuesday, and that's up on the YouTube page.
Did you have a good show out for that one?
The one for YouTube,
No,
The
the
live.
live one.
it was okay. I mean, kind of average. Why?
We missed you.
Miss you guys because I was all excited about that, but I just couldn't make it. So
Yeah.
I'll have to look on YouTube. I just was wondering if there might be any interest to do that again.
I might at some point. I've got the next 3 or 4 weeks down, but we could take another property where we could take a bunch of houses that we bought in a bunch and kind of figure out what we're actually looking at taking over. This is with Miranda, my partner down in West Virginia. So there's an older gentleman who has about 60 houses that he's wanting to get out of. He's in his 80s. And so we're talking about just taking that over, putting something down, and then, kind of, he doesn't want the big capital gain. And so just pay him off over time, kind of take it over and, buy it on terms for a while. And we could do something because we're going to have to come up with a really big plan for what do we have to do with those over the next 4 to 5 years if we take over that many, many houses. Pardon? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I think you had an open mic.
Oh, okay. So maybe, or we can take another property and just do the same thing. But the real benefit was having people actually just practice. So you're talking about on one of our live meetups, Charlene?
Yeah, of course I would have used my property for the tactical planning example.
Oh, well, we can do that. That might not be a bad idea.
All right. I would love that.
I think we're running over 8:30. I'm gonna turn my
Yes.
mic off
Yeah.
and turn it back to Sharon and Jane.
All right, guys.
Appreciate everybody's participation tonight. This was a great meeting.
And we'll see you next
you.
time. Same bat channel. Appreciate everybody.